you're right, and this draft is getting started here, Pepe.
Nice.
MikuHatsune on the left, Polar Ace on the right, B side, and we're getting started this first ban, the Taka, but we'll see what goes down here.
Ooh, three bands from what I see. Three bands on each side. Looks for an interesting format. I'm looking at it. I like it. It's very, very new to me, but definitely enjoy it.
It's new to everyone. Vainsocial, our lovely sponsor, has been kind enough to provide us with a custom draft just for the NACL. Before the VPL starts, it's some good insight into what Vainglory can transition to in 2018 and beyond, looking to the future of mobile esports.
I see no slot for extra time. We'll see if Miku Hatsune what they ban first. Like you said, yeah, I do expect to see a Taka. He's just a general strong flex pick, mostly going towards the top side of the map though. I would say that his tanky build and his high base damage is what allows him to be so good early game for trading, and then once he hits level 6, he basically dominates almost anyone that is contesting him. But they have a Celeste ban on the A side, and Polar Ace is the one who bans Ataka. Typically for A side drafting, you don't want to first ban the strong power pick that you are going for. You definitely want to ban someone else, and they pick up a Varia, putting priority in the mid lane. It's interesting. What do you think about that?
I think it's a smart pick. Varya is a very strong mid laner. She's got the chain lightning bounces that can allow her to clear waves very effectively and also damage her opponent. And also, she's got the dash that will allow her to get away from ganks, especially early game, as those turrets do have shielding on them up to 6 minutes. Early game pressure is slightly less now, and it was a smart ban with the Taka as well. I know Gabe Vizel has pioneered the top lane Taka in this new meta. Approach into bonus time, Polar Ace taking some time with their first pick.
Yeah, Gabe is definitely a lot of players too. They have their own preferences and their own meta and their own kind of I don't know, their way of playing and building certain heroes. And like I said before, just the ability to have so many different heroes to build into so many different paths really opens that up. So some players might have a different kind of play style, whether you are a Glaive, Rona, Blackfeather player, or more of a versatile playmaking Reza, Taka, CP Lorelei, those kinds of players. So the diversity inside of the game is very exciting to see and understand.
And we've got an Alpha and a Kestrel being the first two picks for Polar Ace here. Alpha is extremely strong as well. It's a smart first pick, as well as come back into the meta with some of the balance changes in 3.1, 3.2, and especially I would imagine that she would be the mid lane against the Varia. Her glimmer shots can do damage from range, allow Varia's lightning to attack her as hard, and we see Glaive possibly going to get picked up to counter the Alpha.
I really like the Kestrel pick. A lot of solo queue, I guess, the ranked play has seen that in many different lanes, and just the flex pick behind that, noticing she had a decent buff that opened up both of her paths, both crystal and weapon, primarily weapon. I think that really allowed her to come out and shine. So we'll see what counters her in the future. Someone as obvious as Fortress, which would definitely be a good ban right now, but Kestrel is very strong CP, either mid, jungle, or even weapon powered bot lane.
Received some information that our draft links got mixed up, so we'll probably be doing this over. Bear with us.
Oh, that's
A
alright.
new
Gives us more
client.
time to chat.
This is very true. It's still very new. Vainsocial has just thrown it together for us for this tournament, as this is day one, season 6 of the North American Champions League, and the second draft will be shortly. I would imagine that the same picks are going to be picked up by each team, so we'll see how that goes.
Alright, looks like everyone is getting settled to restart the draft to start the game shortly.
All right, thank you for bearing with us, everybody. We're back in business for the most part. And all right, here, Pepe, as we saw the first couple picks getting pushed through for these teams, we've got the Aria Glaive and then Alpha Kestrel. You know, with those picks, you see the Kestrel's got some heavy CC there with the trap. Alpha's got a ton of damage, some dive potential. How do you think the other three picks are gonna pan out for either side?
Mm, if you have a glaive on your team, you definitely have to understand that he's gonna fall off a bit in damage late game. So having another main damage dealer that will help shift glaive into more like a tank and peel towards the late game, that'll be helpful. And also someone that late has a huge late game scaling. Glaive is going to be used for either assisting with a gank if you put him top lane, or just ganking in general to every single lane if you put him in jungle. So using him for that win condition early on allows you to build late scaling heroes or heroes that can just snowball very, very easily. So I definitely hope to see someone maybe like Rona or Cruel along with Glaive, especially if Glaive is top lane, or if Glaive is going to jungle, then I would like to see more of a hyper carry build, whether it be a Vox or Ringo or something like that.
I think Ringo is smart. Ringo is very safe to put in either top or bottom. He's a very flexible hero. You know, both of his paths are to use as this draft is starting. Getting we're getting all set up. We see the as this draft gets underway, Pepe. If you have it up, I think mine is still loading in.
Alright, looks like the sides basically just switched, I think.
All right, here we go. Client up. We're all good to go. Taka's the first ban off of Miku. It's a respect ban. I would imagine that everything is gonna go the way the previous draft as we get things rolling right here.
Alright, yeah, there we go. I see. I
Taking
think we're
our
waiting on
time with this
Polar
first
Ace
ban.
here. Taka first ban is definitely interesting. If you see maybe like a trio of power picks, like say Polar Ace wants to ban like a Churn or someone that's very strong like Churn, Lyra, anyone like that, then banning Taka is smart because it allows you to get the next power pick. But just they ban a Celeste. She's pretty strong in mid lane. You can definitely see that they want more of a mid lane focus for that team. Maybe they have the strongest player there, or maybe they just want to center their draft around a mid lane win condition. But for the most part, having a Taka ban A side is it's pretty good. It seems to be working out so far. And then the Celeste ban just shows a lot more of what Polar Ace is trying to do.
First pick here, gonna be Varia. Not surprising, as we saw Miku pick it up first game, and we got Batiste. Counters the Varia. The Ordained makes sure that she can't dash out of it, which is a lot of source of damage, especially late game when she gets a couple items under a belt. Since her crystal damage and scaling as well, going to be their counterpart to take out that Batiste, and a Rona also on the side of Polar Ace.
And it could be Weapon Power Baptiste as well. Most likely going to go Crystal, but Weapon Power does exist. And with Rona, that Rona can also be flexed to jungle or to bot lane. So we'll see what they choose for that. But they do have a Weapon Power Baptiste as shown by T Tigers. And he's very, very strong. But both the Baptiste and the Rona do not match up too great against Cruel in a one-on-one basis. So having the Cruel on A side along with the Varia definitely shows that they want to scale up a bit more late game and have more of a team fight presence.
And as well, if Cruel does get hit with the with Batiste's ult, he's unable to move. He can get ordained, stunned, and then that's just an invitation for Rona to jump in Red Mist and just spin to win all over him, building up stacks. And Grumpjaw going to be banned. Huge, especially in team fights. He can swallow up an entire enemy, make it a 4v5, and that's not a good situation. And Arden going to be the captain of choice for Polar Ace here. Lyra going to be the captain of choice for Miku.
Very strong presence. Lyra definitely going to help up with that late scaling comp. A very safe mid lane duo as well. The roamer typically starts at a mid lane for the early game and just helps them out with whatever wave clear or vision control that you need on the map. And for the most part, being able to have a sustained mid lane allows them to not only stay there longer, but will have a double ranged poke advantage. So if right now Polar Ace, they need to choose either something that goes for their win conditions. They pick an Idris. It's a little bit weak if it is going CP against the Varia and the Lyra. It's more of a surviving lane. So right now they're actually going to shift focus and prioritize their side lanes, or at least that's what the recommendation would be for them. Because if you put too much focus on the Idris in where he has a lane which he's going to get poked against before he unlocks his passive, then it's definitely not going to be in his favor. And you can see that they banned Samuel on Miku's side, Miku A side. They banned Samuel, so it's definitely wanting to force the Idris to go mid, eliminating any other strong mid lane picks that can contest against the Lyra and the Varia.
And Idris is especially strong against the more immobile champions. And by forcing him against the Varia, Varia can be good against him, especially before he's hit his perk. Range overpowers the short range that he's got so far, especially if he goes weapon power. When? That's an interesting one, but still a strong take in my opinion.
So yeah, Varia Churn, Lyra Vox so far, and Baptiste, Rona, Arden, Idris, and Reza looking to be picked up onto MikuHatsune's blue side. Very balanced comps so far. Definitely not too much of an idea on where B side is going to be locking in for their roles. Idris most likely to go mid, and Rona and Baptiste can definitely be flexed into both positions.
I might see Rona go towards the top lane, which is normally where the tankier laner would go, especially in other MOBAs such as League or Dota. Reza can also contest that top lane. He's got enough wave clear where he is viable, especially if it picks up a Storm Crown or something early game. But he's also a very powerful jungle pick. It's just going to be interesting to see where he goes and where the Cruel goes as well. Cruel goes to a lane, which I don't think would happen, but Reza could definitely be flexed into either a lane or a jungle position.
Small glitch in the draft from what it looks like. Reza not being allowed to be picked, but it does look like they want to pick a Reza.
And we've got it settled in chat. We've got Reza picked up for the last one, and it looks like Glaive is going to be the last pick for B side here. Polar Ace are going to pick up a Glaive, another tanky hero. So we've got Batiste who can tank up. We've got Rona, Arden, and Glaive. So it looks like this is going to be a protect the Idris comp thing. That's like Idris is probably going to build 4 items straight away. He's just going to be the back line, just damage dealer for this team, while everyone else is focused on keeping him alive, keeping him to deal damage, so that they can win this. Loading in, looks like everyone has picked their heroes, and we're gonna load on to Sovereign's Rise here very shortly. Blank, Fez, Varian, Panda, and Kaio versus Shiro, Poe, Excel, Electro, and Nooner. These comps here, Pepe, who do you think's got the edge right now before anything starts here?
I definitely want to say that Miku has a stronger idea of what they want their comp to be. They have two obvious carries, being the Varia and the Vox, and then they have the Reza and Cruel being able to dive the backline or just provide a nice sustained front line to defend their backline, and Lyra as well. There for the heals, there for the early game poke for mid lane, I should say. And I think it's just a very strong comp overall. The Arden and Baptiste is definitely a strong combo as well. They both have a level 6 power spike that does a lot of CC and a decent amount of damage. So I would say that early game comp wise, that the Glaive, just a B side, has a general overall win condition, but mid late game, I would say that Miku definitely has more of a winning chance and a winning favor for their comp.
I do think they have the better dive composition, especially with the Lyra portals. And if Polar Ace is going to run what I think they're going to run and do the protect the Idris comp, if you kill the Idris, who's likely going to be very squishy, your attack is over basically. Back off of that. And so I think Miku's win condition right here is kill the Idris. And if they can do that, I think they can take this game fairly easily. Only
We see,
time will tell.
yeah, we see a good starting rotation, just very, very basic. The jungler and weapon power carry down in the red side buff, and then we have the crystal power carry and top laner in the top side of the jungle for both sides, and this roamer just chilling in mid, taking last hits, maybe establishing some vision. We'll see that Shiro, the Arden, has established both of his cams. I think he dedicated him to both the side lane bushes, so we'll see how those affect the lane overall. And then Glaive and Rona heading up to top side, or I guess just their top side, pushing out the wave as quick as they can.
We see Shiro has purchased a flare gun in his inventory as his first starting item, as we see Fez coming down here for Miku, where it's probably going to end up being a very safe play for Polar Ace here. They are going to establish vision, get everything settled, and as Blank starts pushing this wave a little aggressively with Panda here, but Panda's just going to go back up to his mid lane and help out Lyra as nothing too crazy. He's got 3 in the mid lane. Maybe looking for a skirmish here.
Hope that Lyra's okay. She hasn't been moving too much. Definitely ruining all of the mid pressure that they have in that lane against a Arden and an Idris. You are definitely allowed to poke them out and allowed to trade with them, and because most of the times you'll win the trade, so it's a bit frustrating.
I already saw Rona having to port back in the top lane. Varian got him extremely low, but he's also low himself. So he might want to just port back right now while he's got the advantage in the wave clear, so that that he can be more safe. So we see him porting back finally. Mid lane, I really do hope that Lyra's okay. Kaio hasn't moved in a little bit. Oh, there he goes.
Woohoo! Nice, he's back. So we'll see how they can get a bit more lane pressure now. I think against Idris and Arden, again, there should be a lot more harassment and a lot more trading just to allow them to scale up a lot easier and to deny the Idris a lot of farm. But he's doing okay on farm. He has 13 against Varia's 20, so not too bad there.
And here comes Panda up to get a little bit of pressure, maybe up in the lane, or just going to try to steal some camps. It is going to go over to Nooner, not going to be contested. Panda's just kind of running around the jungle here, looking for some stuff to take. As we see Fez getting jumped on, Sigil's going to heal him up, but I'm going to pass this over to you.
Overall, I would like to see a bit more of the early aggression from the Cruel as he's doing right now. He's definitely invading, definitely getting at least timers on their jungle, understanding where each hero is, but not bad for the most part. I do really think that the win condition for Glaive isn't being as exposed as they might want it to be. They did get a good kill, but it's definitely not as much as they might want to do in the side lanes as well.
We see Powine down here in the bottom. He's farming up against Blank. He's got 20 farm to Blank's 23. It's a pretty even trade. Top lane we see Varian putting down some good damage, but here comes Glaive. And it looks like Varian's gonna he might not get away, pops a healing flask, as Glaive will take this one. And Varian escapes with his life.
Yeah, thankfully that cooldown timer on his afterburn is a bit long because he could go up for a repeat gank. Varian does not have his flask anymore, so he's definitely available for another gank. And so we'll see what kind of symmetry they put onto the bot lane. Right now you see that they have 3 towards the bot side of the map, trying to make a play onto Baptiste, I hope, or at the very least taking their healing treant. So we will see what kind of response they have to the Varian being choked out a bit and definitely removing his flask.
We see Glaive here on Excel has bought a tension bow already, and Blank has a poison shiv. So we see the first item spike starting to coming through for both sides actually. In this bush, but Poe knows he's there. Looks like a dive's gonna come up, or Dane's gonna be brought down. There goes the fearsome shade, but he's gonna go down. Tons of damage on a Panda. Will he survive? No, the turret will take him down. That'll be 1 kill and 1 kill going over to each side. Electro's here. He's getting a little aggressive. Sigil gonna heal up Blank as Kyle comes down to help. And here comes the ult from Varia just to take some of that focus off of him. Fez getting dropped so low already. And it looks like Ace will back off here.
On the other side of the map, Varian just decided to get a bit of trade damage onto their the enemy turret, the Rona's turret, definitely helping out Blank. Now focusing on the bot lane turret, so definitely focusing more objectives. Yes, the kills are coming through for B-side, but we see that the gold lead is just about even, and the 2 kills aren't really as detrimental as they might seem.
Absolutely not, but this turret is going to be pretty detrimental if it falls, and it will. 6-minute turret down to MikuHatsune, and Poe's going to be a little hard pressed now to keep this this lane pushed as Excel almost gets caught out. Turning our attention back to the mid lane, we've got Fez going extremely low, and Electro's trying to chunk him down, but it looks like he will escape with his life for the most part. No flask for Fez yet. That Sigil is going to be the only thing going to keep him alive. We've got a bit of a skirmish in the top lane as well. Varian getting a little low, but so is Shiro. Polar Ace doesn't want to push this one too hard, as they don't have quite the advantage in top lane. But mid lane, they might have something as Electros finds a Cruel in the bush. That sword's going to come down and whack him. And he's going to go down with the Spectral Smite from Cruel. Cruel's going to steal his buff as well. So it looks like Miku's in a very good place to push this mid lane here, especially with all 3, huge damage dealers, but a Panda, he's taking a lot of damage. That tension bow is doing a lot of work. Here comes the gauntlet to trap them down. Fez is going extremely low. He's popping his flask. Ports away, does a bit of damage, and there comes the damage from Panda. He's picked up a tension bow of his own, and that's going to be enough to take down that Glaive.
Yeah, very impressive stuff. And we should notice that all started and happened around the mid lane turret. The goal was to get the mid lane turret, open up the map a bit more, but it didn't work out for them as well as they'd hoped. But at the same time, it didn't let them a kill because Ace had to defend that. They had to stay around for the general turret just to not allow them to open up the map that much, because after you get 1 turret, your goal shouldn't really be to keep pushing that lane unless you have a lead there, but it should be to just spread that lead around the map. And it seems like Miku definitely has an understanding for that, so it's very, very impressive to see a decent or a strong set of fundamentals from them.
Speaking of turrets, Rezo was able to take the top one as we were chatting a little bit, and that 353 damage already. And Nooner's barely going to get away from this. Varian He's gonna get it. The very edge of that fire strike is gonna be able enough to take him down. And this second turret is getting extremely low. It might be already taken. Oh, Varian is on a sliver of health, and so is Panda. They can't stay here much longer. Back off. The second bot lane turret also going to fall. Miku is starting to run away with this game a little bit, Pepe.
Yeah, definitely huge macro sense from them, acknowledging that if they're not going to be, if Polar Ace is not going to be establishing the resources to the mid lane turret, they put so much onto defending it that they don't have the resources to protect their outside. So just having 2v2 split push on both sides really helps open up the map for them, getting 2 tier 2 turrets for almost no punishment, and there's really no available counterplay right now to them since they find themselves to be a bit behind.
You have counterplay. Here comes the gauntlet. It's going to be crucibled up. Blank is going to get stunned by the Ordain a little bit, but it's a very good disengage by Miku. A very smart use of the crucible coming out of Kaio. And bit of an engagement. They're trying to focus down Electro. They know they've identified him as the threat here, and Excel could dive in, get some tension bow damage.
A huge setup
Perhaps.
for the mid siege of the turret fight. Definitely going to want to be breaking out. The next objective is the obvious mid turret. You definitely want to push that out since you have both tier 2 sidewaves and a fight speed
Dove a
power.
bit too hard. You're going to be forced to fountain to keep him up. Fez is going to be dropping that huge storm of damage. Shear's going to fall. Electro's going to fall. This mid turret is going to be the next thing in their sights.
While they are trying to get this turret, no matter how hard Polar Ace is defending it, there is still a Cruel going onto the Ghostwing right now, allowing them to get another solid objective. Yes, the top turret might be taken down by those minions, but at the very least, you get a Ghostwing turret, and at the expense of maybe 1 or 2 deaths, maybe, you're definitely opening up the map a lot and just getting a huge overall lead by forcing Polar Ace to defend the mid turret after pushing out both tier 2 turrets on both side lanes. That's all you really have to
Oh,
do for a response.
such a good play there from Miku. They trade one, but it's gonna be worth it in the end. As Electros is gonna go low, Panda as well. Gonna matter. Vox is stacking up that breaking point. It's so huge, and that body block from Arden saved his carry there and allowed them to get away. That is a perfectly thrown gauntlet right there. It looks like a Max Green gauntlet. As this final turret is going to fall to Miku, and they're just going to back off and look to steal the entire jungle.
And now that buys them enough time to reset, go back to your lanes. Of course, you notice that the top lane is getting pushed out right now. They were almost allowed to get 2 turrets by just the natural minion wave pushing, but thankfully they reset, allowing themselves to get the minion waves, get a bit more farm behind them after getting that huge of a lead from the Ghostwing and the mid lane turrets. So now just resetting, taking your time, knowing where you are at this point in time and how strong you are should allow you to focus on the next objective. You always want to be thinking 1 or 2 steps ahead, especially if you're trying to snowball. You can't be thinking like, well, I just want to go team fight for KDA. So huge props to Miku for understanding where they are at and knowing what objective they want to do. They have a general sense of direction at all times, and it's very impressive to see. I do want to see how Polar Ace puts everything to a hold, maybe exposes them, finds a place where they can establish some vision and catch 1 or 2 people out, and that would definitely help them get back into a lead. Just pick one place, put some vision, and you're good to go.
Speaking of catching people out, we saw Blank there in the bot lane taking out Batiste by himself, and that it's such a big loss, especially in 5v5 when you have so much possibility for damage that losing one member so quickly like that is so detrimental. And here comes Shiro. He's forced a fountain to save himself, but it's not going to be enough. Blank is going to take a huge amount of damage, but Clave will fall again to those swirling basic attacks from Vox. Poe is going to be their next hero in their sights. He's gonna push him back for now. Panda and Fez are marching down this lane. Panda's gonna go in so deep. Poe is barely keeping himself alive with the sustain in his kit, but Fez uh, Valkyrie spear is gonna make sure that he falls. Turrets down, armories down. This is a last ditch effort here for Polar Ace to pull something out, anything out. That's a huge gauntlet. They're all so low, but the disengage was very well coordinated. And there goes Glaive, melted again. Rona melted as well. Electro's their next target. He might get Varian here. He gets the shield from Arden. Tons of damage being traded here. Electro's throwing that chakram, almost hitting Varian, but they're still fighting here, taking down this second armory, and I think it's time to pull out if you're Miku. You've taken everything that you possibly can, and now it's just time to save your own lives.
Yeah, definitely. Another time to just back off, reset. You got two armories, play with the waves a little bit. They're going to push them out, and the next objective is up to them, basically. They have Ghostwing, Blackclaw, the top turret, the last armory standing. Once you lose one armory, it's pretty big. Two armories is huge and allows you to end the game very quickly. And then the third armory, it's almost GG, but I do want to say I have a bit of hope for Polar Ace. They are constantly spreading themselves out a bit too thin. You noticed from the beginning of the game, they have everyone on at least three people defending mid turret while 1-1 defending each side lane turret. That didn't work out for them as well as they'd hoped. So now they just kind of have to regroup, understand that their team fight presence might not be as strong, but they definitely do have a fighting chance. Just their goal is to not get caught out as
Speaking of
much as they
team
are.
fights, sorry to cut you off, but we've got more action. Varian's gonna dodge the fearsome shade by popping his ult, and it's gonna work. They're gonna get him 20-4, and it looks like Miku is just looking to end this right here. Electro's getting lit up. That Vein Crystal is gonna be their next target, as Nooner and Excel are gonna try to defend this, going solo. There goes Reza. There goes Glaive. Vox is kind of a big deal. He's got a triple kill, and that's an ace. This game is over, Pepe. Miku Hatsune has steamrolled Polar Ace.
16-minute game, pretty solid. Most games might go up to 20 minutes, but 16-minute definitely shows that Miku had a great sense of macro play, understanding what they wanted to do at all times and what the composition was allowing themselves to do. Lyra seemed to be a bit AFK or lagging early on, but that definitely didn't stop them from being more of a powerhouse for that mid game to late game team. Like I said in the beginning, Polar Ace, their win condition came off the glaive, but with him not ganking as often as he could have, and the side lanes also being very good at escaping, it definitely shut down their early game win condition to allow them to snowball. So very, very narrow in their draft, but not bad overall for the defending. For any criticism that they might want to look for, I do say that pick something, make a play together as a team, and focus on that. And for Miku, strong showing for them. Blank Vox going 10, 0, and 7. Great build. He knew he had to snowball, so he got that tension bow, had breaking point as well, was allowed to snowball, and just great team coordination from MikuHatsune overall.
Yep, it was a very well structured game. It looked like they never lost control of that game ever. It was always, locked in. They knew what was going on. They knew what they needed to do, and I think that's gonna wrap it up for us, Pepe. That was a phenomenal game. I'm excited to cast again. I know you're excited to get back into it as well. And
Yeah,
you want to sign us off?
yeah, it was very, very fun. I believe we have another game coming on in about half an hour, but that's it for me personally. Good games to MikuHatsune and Polar Ace. For anyone wondering on how to get better at solo queue, or you have a 5v5 team of your own and you want to step into professional play or NACL in general, I do recommend that you watch these videos, learn a bit from them. Hopefully you enjoy the casting from myself and my fellow peers. Good job, Burger, today. So definitely tune into this channel. They'll be posting up. Join the NACL Discord. You'll get updated on what time the streams are, as well as links to the stream. So that'll definitely be helpful for anyone that wants to follow. Talk to your friends, invite them. Definitely a huge, huge learning tool for 5v5. So thank you guys all for watching, and hopefully we get to see you guys in some future videos and future streams for this tournament. This tournament will be going on for the next couple of weeks, and we'll see you in Twitch chat. And thank you for watching.